Hey friends, welcome back to another week of Cooking with Mise. My name is Brian from Creative Culture. Today we're going to be making fried chicken, homemade mac and cheese, and asparagus. I'm super excited about this video because fried chicken is one of the classic comfort foods in America. I really have never met anybody who doesn't like fried chicken. So definitely a staple, something to have in your arsenal that you can whip up at any time. This is a super easy recipe as well. I'm going to be teaching you a ton of tips and tricks throughout the video. So make sure you're paying attention, following along. By the end of this video, you should be able to cook multiple items at one time. So we're going to be cooking the mac and cheese at the same time we're frying our chicken while our asparagus is baking in the oven. So that multitasking is a huge part of being a cook or being a chef. It just really helps everything come together at the same time, so you don't have one part of the dish done getting cold while the other part of the dish is finishing up. You want everything to come together at the same time and be plated nice and hot. All right guys, let's go ahead and jump into step one. So step one is going to be boiling our pasta. Once again, like the pasta dish we did a couple of videos ago, we want to make sure that we have our pasta cooked ahead of time because we're going to be sauteing it in the mac and cheese, and it will take forever, and honestly your cheese will probably burn, your cream will evaporate by the time you're able to get that pasta softened. So step one is going to be, let's go ahead and boil our pasta. A couple tips to remember from past videos is make sure that your water for your pasta tastes like salt water. We want that salt flavor just in every single bite of the pasta, and then in return that's really going to help enhance all of the other flavors in the mac and cheese. So make sure that your pasta water tastes like salt water. Go ahead and boil that. Whatever the box says, cook about 4 minutes under what the box says. So go ahead and cook your pasta, strain that, and then just go ahead and set that off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and do that. You should as well, and then we'll be right back. We'll jump into step two. All right guys, step two is one of the most important. I talk about it every single video, but step two is going to be mise en place our ingredients. So we just want to make sure that we have everything prepared, everything to go ready to go ahead of time, just to help with our execution on this dish. So a couple things that you need to do is go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. We want to get that preheated and ready to go, so that way we can pop the asparagus in the oven whenever we're ready. Next thing we want to do for our mise en place is mix all of our spices into our flour. We want to make sure that's mixed really well all the way through, so that way you're getting a ton of flavor on every single bite of chicken. We don't want cayenne or paprika to be on one clump of your chicken. So make sure that's mixed through your flour really well, just to enhance the flavor of every single bite. All right, and the third thing we need to do is for the asparagus, go ahead and take your asparagus, cut the ends off of it, put that in a baggie, a little bit of olive oil, and just make sure it's completely coated with olive oil. We're also going to go ahead and get this ready on the sheet tray because we don't have to cook anything for this yet. So after you coat the asparagus in olive oil, just go ahead and lay it flat on a sheet tray. Put a little salt and pepper on the asparagus, roll the asparagus over, a little more salt and pepper. So we want to make sure all sides of the asparagus are coated with salt, pepper, and olive oil. Place that on a sheet tray. A little tip, I'm sure a lot of you do this as well, I put aluminum foil on the sheet tray just to make sure that it's easier to clean at the end. It's going to catch a lot of the debris from the salt and pepper and the olive oil as well. So just a little tip that I do. You don't have to do that, but just something that will make cleaning up a lot easier. All right, and then the last thing we need to do for mise en place and our ingredients is get 3 separate bowls or dishes. And one is going to be for our flour mixture, one is going to be for our egg wash, and then the other is going to be for our bread. All right, one little tip from my video I wanted to point out. So I purposely used bowls, these bowls actually, for the breadcrumbs, flour, and egg wash. So one thing I want to point out is make sure that you use a dish big enough to put the chicken in with the breadcrumbs. So if you have breadcrumbs or flour or egg wash in this bowl, and when you put the chicken in it, it's naturally going to lift everything in the bowl up. And then you need to make sure that it's covered on all sides. So you're going to be flipping the chicken over and patting it down. Doing it in a bowl this size is not ideal. So make sure you have plenty of room Sheet trays work really well. You could do a couple piles on the sheet tray of flour, breadcrumbs, and then a bowl of egg wash in the middle. You could do some Tupperware that are big enough to fit the chicken breast. A little tip as well is just make sure whatever you're using, a sheet tray is underneath that to catch all of the overflow from the breadcrumbs and the flour. So just something I wanted to point out, something I wanted to show you in the video. If you see breadcrumbs flying everywhere when I'm breading, that is why. I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys that little tip. So use something bigger than a bowl like this. All right, guys, we're flying through this. So we have all of our ingredients mise en place and ready to go. We should have our oven preheating to 350. By this point, our pasta should be strained and set to the side. We're going to be using that in just a couple minutes, so you don't have to worry about refrigerating it or anything like that. And then our next step is going to be to prep our chicken for our for frying. So we want to take our chicken breast. Now, in this video, I'm going to be using thin sliced chicken breast. If you don't buy thin sliced chicken breast, you already have, let's say, regular chicken breast, or you can't find thin sliced, you're going to need to pound that chicken out and just flatten it out. Ideally, you want all of the breasts that you're using to be about the same thickness, because if they're not, one is going to cook faster than the other. So ideally, this whole concept that we're making is all about timing and making sure that we have everything coming together at once. So make sure that you pound the chicken out to about a ½ inch thickness, and make sure that they're all about the same thickness as well. Now, when pounding that out, I didn't do it in the video because Miranda bought thin sliced chicken for me. So what you're going to want to do is take 2 pieces of plastic wrap, put those together just to make it a little bit thicker. Put that on your counter, and then put your chicken breast, and then take 2 more pieces of plastic wrap, put those together, and put that on top of the chicken. You're going to be pounding the chicken with a hammer, with a meat tenderizer. So the last thing you want is just one thin piece of plastic and that ripping, and you're going to just be splattering chicken juice everywhere. So 2 layers, that way it has that extra level of security and thickness. And then just go ahead and pound down your chicken breast. Next thing we want to do after we make sure that we have all of our chicken breasts the same thickness is pat our chicken breasts dry with paper towels. Now, as we know, chicken has that little layer of slime on it. Sorry if that's disgusting, but it has that little layer of slime on it. We want to get all of that off of the chicken breast, so that way our salt and pepper sticks to the chicken and not to the slime. Because once the slime starts heating up in the pan or it hits the oil, it's just all going to fall off. So make sure that you have your chicken breast patted dry, and then salt and pepper those chicken breasts, and just really pat that salt and pepper into your chicken. Add more salt and pepper than you think you're going to need. So we have a lot of stuff going on here. We're going to have it in the oil for about 6 to 8 minutes. A lot of opportunity for the salt and pepper and the flavor to fall off of your chicken, or be a little less flavorful. So make sure that you pat that seasoning down. Same with the flour and the breadcrumbs as well. You just want to really make sure you get that compacted into the chicken. One thing I want to say about chicken as well is the handling of it. Now, the reason I did this mise en place step separate from the rest of them is because chicken is something you need to be very, very careful with. E. coli is one of the main sicknesses that you can get from chicken. It's not something you want to mess with. It is something that in the restaurant industry we take extremely serious. We have gloves that slide over our plastic gloves anytime we touch a piece of chicken, just to make sure that we're constantly changing that out. Our sanitizer buckets for our towels and whatnot have to be changed out every 2 hours. All of those little things are to protect us from the bacteria that can come with food, such as E. coli. So make sure when you're handling your chicken, you're not using the same tongs or anything. Let's say you pick up your chicken with tongs, you definitely don't want to grab your asparagus with tongs as well. So make sure you keep all of that separate. And then anywhere that the chicken is, make sure that you wipe that area down real well. Now, one thing that you can do, I didn't do it here, but one thing that you could do is put a layer of plastic wrap on your countertop. So that way, when you're done with the chicken, all you have to do is just fold that plastic wrap up and throw it away. Same with if you don't have a sheet tray, same with your breadcrumbs, flour, and egg wash. Put a piece of plastic wrap under that instead of a sheet tray, so that way it catches, kind of the same concept, catches all of the debris. So let's go ahead and get our chicken ready. I'll see you back here in 1 minute, and then we'll go ahead and get into all the exciting stuff, and we're going to start cooking our food items. So go ahead and get that ready. Make sure you're being safe handling the chicken, and I'll see you back here in a minute. All right, guys, so we have everything ready to go. We have our chicken mise en place. We have all of our other ingredients mise en place we did in the second step. So now we're going to start with the exciting part and start cooking all of these items. So first thing you need to do to start cooking is put 2 skillets on your stovetop on medium-high heat. In one, we're going to put our vegetable oil for frying, and in the other one, we're going to put our heavy cream. So that is so we can start our mac and cheese. That's a base for our mac and cheese. So we're going to have both of our pans heating up, medium-high heat. Once your pans are hot, add in the oil and the cream. While the cream and the oil are heating up in the pans, go ahead and bread your chicken. So when you're setting up your breading station, you want to set up going towards your skillet that you're going to fry in. So I would put it, as you can see in this video, I put my dishes for flour, breadcrumbs, egg right next to the skillet on the right side of my stovetop, and then going in order towards the last thing that I would do towards the skillet. So the order that we're going to do things is flour, egg wash, breadcrumbs, and the flour to be the furthest away from the skillet, egg wash in the middle, and the breadcrumbs being the last thing that we're going to do would be closest to the skillet. You always want to be working towards that, not working away and then having to carry that chicken breast with breadcrumbs flour back over everything and put it in the skillet. So remember, work smarter, not harder. It's one of my favorite sayings from the restaurant. So work towards your skillet, and then go ahead and bread your chicken. Flour first, egg wash. Make sure the flour is patted into the chicken, egg wash, and then breadcrumbs. We want to bread all of our chicken before we put it in the skillet in the oil to fry it, so that way, once again, our timing isn't off. So go ahead and place the chicken into the oil. Now, when you're placing the chicken in the oil, you want to put the end in and then place away from you. If you just put the chicken breast in the oil, it's going to splatter. And oil is roughly about 350 degrees, and when it hits your skin, it just peels your skin off like saran wrap. So definitely make sure that you're protecting yourself as you're frying stuff. And this goes for anything. So put the end of the chicken breast in the oil, and then just make sure you lay it down facing the back of the stovetop, just in case if it does splash, the splatter goes backwards and not towards you. So one thing to remember, just keeping yourself safe. So go ahead and get your chicken breast in the oil. We're going to let that sit for 4 minutes. While that's happening, our cream should be simmering. And what we're going to do is add Parmesan cheese, just mix that in for a second, and then we're going to add our pasta and our cheddar cheese. So add pasta, add cheddar cheese mixture, mix that up, and just let that sit. The cheddar cheese is going to have to break down, the Parmesan cheese is going to have to break down, and all of that's going to have to melt together. Mix that up, and then at this point, we should have about 2 more minutes for our chicken, for that first side of our chicken. So we're going to be cooking our chicken 4 minutes each side and reaching an internal temperature above 160 degrees. So going back to the E. coli thing that I mentioned earlier in the video, we want to make sure we're focused on that all the way through the cooking process. So make sure that the temperature is above 160 degrees. Your cheese should be melting in with your mac and cheese. Flip your chicken, cook that for another 4 minutes on the other side, making sure that you hit that temperature, and then mix your mac and cheese thoroughly. All right, so as we flip the chicken, cook it for another 4 minutes, we should be about finished up. So our mac and cheese should be looking like mac and cheese, getting real creamy and cheesy, that nice yellow tint. Asparagus out of the oven, that should be 8 minutes, should be about up. Remember, we're cooking our chicken for 8 minutes. Pasta, the mac and cheese takes around 8 minutes as well, and then our asparagus is cooking for 8 minutes. So the goal should be to have all of that finished at the same time. So we set the mac and cheese off onto our back burner. We pulled our chicken out. We put that on the plate with paper towels. We pulled our asparagus out of the oven. And then our next step is going to be to plate all of this. So Everything is done cooking. Our chicken is temped above 160. Our mac and cheese is nice and creamy. All the cheddar cheese is melted all the way through. And then our asparagus still has a nice crunch to it, but you can see that it has just a slight char. And then it's coated in olive oil, salt, and pepper. You can go ahead and plate this however you would like to plate it. Personally, I did the mac and cheese in a small bowl, just because I don't I wouldn't like my chicken with the mac and cheese getting soggy. That's just a personal preference for me. So I put my mac and cheese in a small bowl and then laid my fried chicken and then asparagus just right next to each other. All right, guys, and there you have it, a perfectly plated fried chicken that is extremely flavorful. I guarantee you, once you try this, once your family tries this, everyone's going to be asking you for this recipe. Thank you so much for joining me this week. If you found some value in this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out with the algorithm. And then I post a lot on X as well, so you can follow me on X at Creative Culture. All right, I hope you enjoyed your fried chicken. I hope you have it plated perfectly. Let me know if you were able to multitask, cook everything at once, and get that timing down to have everything come out at the same time as well. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you right here at the same time next week.